What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop back here again. Week 3, best bets, props, everything you need. We're here for you. Join as always. All my guys, Stu. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. A little early today, an hour before we normally go. So I don't know if I have that same like Friday energy right now. I still feel like I'm waking up a little bit. So hopefully over the course of the show, we can change that a little bit because we got some fire plays for you guys. Obviously, some great stuff. We just talked about what we're on to each other. So I'm feeling even better about the action we got now. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go. We had an awful Thursday night football game. Absolute waste of time. I almost fell asleep at the very end. I didn't even really watch the end. So thankful to put that in our past, get beyond that, get to a great Sunday slate, and hopefully get some winners today.
Yeah, dude, let's just get that shit out of the way. Let's just get Thursday night out of the way. I saw a lot of people on like alternate under Stevenson's and everything. I played him in fantasy this week, so he ended up with 0.2. I had Breece Hall and the Jets defense in that league, so feeling pretty good after Thursday.
Yeah, as soon as he hurt his wrist and then Antonio Gibson subbed into the game and caught 2 balls, I just turned it off. I was like, okay, there it is. Like if you've ever watched football before, those were our chances, you know? The guy goes out the game immediately, the catches go to the running back. It's like it's over at that point. So, yeah, brutal game. Luckily, this was my only bet, so I didn't actually suffer too much, but we got our perfect game script too. That's the worst part. We got the trailing, they had the ball plenty, like it just looked almost as ugly as you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it was just a tough game overall. You know, it's a tough game overall to watch. Luckily, did get to our number here. Breece Hall got us to 70. If like the Jets or the Patriots would have put up any fight, I think I would have got to the 100 because I did bet the 100 rushing receiving as well. He was on pace. I think he had like 4 touches in the second half, just because they were kind of just beating him down there. So I want to also give a quick shout to Greg Zerline for missing and cashing our first half under. Oh my God, how sweaty can you make it, man? He misses a 40-yarder. If we talked about it on the show, that would have been my play on there, and it literally comes down to that close. So, I mean, Vegas, tip your cap, man. That was as close as you could make it, man. 19.5 on the over-under. That would have made it 20, and he misses, so you get the under. So, shout out Vegas, man. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was nice right there. I mean, it's always good when it turns out like that. I know it probably gave you a little heart attack there, but yeah, I mean – as someone that, you know, I was obviously a little on the Patriots, didn't really work out very well. So there was no sweat involved on that side. But yeah, definitely ready to put this game in our rearview mirror right here.
Yeah, we kind of expected. That's kind of what we expected going through here. Just a shit show game. So, yeah, feel pretty good about this slate. Obviously, a lot of great games. Big totals. Everywhere you look, there's some pretty good action here. I guess let's start out with our favorite game. Obviously, like I said before, we moved up the time. Got to be out a little bit earlier than usual. I know it's frustrating, but hey, we want to make it here for you guys every week. Make everything, make you guys ready to get it going here. But game that you're looking forward to most in terms of props.
Yeah, I mean, since on Wednesday I talked about like the Eagles Saints, I'm going to pivot to one I actually haven't heard that many people talk about. Texans Vikings. I think it's a sleeper, really good game this week. Like no hype at all going in about it, but we're going to learn a lot about like how legit, like if the Vikings can keep doing what they're doing, if Sam Darnold can keep looking as good as he's looking, and then CJ Stroud on the other side, obviously some of the best weapons in the league. Now you get one of the craziest blitz packages you're going to see all year, and your check down, your running back likely isn't even going to play in Joe Mixon. So now we're going to like Cam Akers, Dare Awugabale. I don't know how to say that name correctly, but I will bet on him to catch passes. So I'm sorry if I said that name wrong, but if they do drop your receptions prop at a reasonable number, I'm definitely in right there. But just ugly game, like two kind of like, I don't want to say underrated teams, but they're not quite like the top of the top, but they're very good teams. So I think this could sneakily be a really good game.
It's Agumbawale, if you're curious. Badger, obviously a Badger guy. So
of course.
Yeah, you got to get that right. You got him, obviously. Braylon Allen, shout out Braylon Allen, looked very good last night. He's gonna be that hitter, right? That hitter in the middle. You don't want to put Breece in there after the injury for those 25, 30 carries, especially when you're running up the middle. But Braylon's a hammer, man. He's just gonna run through people, and he's a big ass dude. So shout out him. Obviously, love to see Badgers doing well in the NFL. For me, I think I got to go to that Saints-Eagles game. I kind of have to. Obviously, I know you have a bet in that game. I don't yet, but I feel like in the DFS streets, it's going to be tough to get away from Devontae Smith. I think for me, it's going to be. I think I'm going to fade the chalk. I'm going to fade the chalk and probably go to Saquon here. I think I'm going to be going to Saquon again with just the amount of volume he's probably getting here. But that's kind of the way you got to think about it. When I think about DFS in here, it's going to be tough for me to want to go to a guy who's probably going to be 40% owned in Devontae Smith being the number one option there. But shootout potential in this one, Vegas thinks it's going to be pretty high as well. So looking forward to that game. Didn't think I'd be talking about the Saints this early in the season as a team I'd want to watch, because last year they were just a shit show. But mind you, Dennis Allen is still a shit coach. That is not any different. So just a heads up.
He is a shit coach, but he is a good defensive coach. So if you have a guy that can set your defense and be strong in the locker room, and then you can just handle overall offensive duties to your genius wizard guy, who I'm not saying Kubiak is all that yet, but that's his reputation after 2 games already, right? People have now crowned him, the best guy in the world, which he deserves the credit. I mean, turning the Saints from what we saw last year to what we've seen through 2 games, you absolutely deserve any credit we could possibly give you, because like you said, that team was frankly disgusting last season, and now they're a team we all want to watch. So definitely a lot of credit there, but it's going to be an interesting one. I'm very curious to see that game. Everything in my gut as a bettor tells me to take the Eagles. A huge reaction in the spread, a non-injury related reaction in the spread over a new coaching staff is definitely warranted. But man, we've seen that line move like crazy. So I don't know if I'm actually going to end up betting the Eagles, but it's going to be hard Sunday morning sitting there Saints by a field goal already? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm excited for that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got 25 of you guys in here live with us in the first couple of minutes. Let's start hitting that like button, guys. I know last show we had about 50 some of you guys in there live with us. We were only pushing 20 likes. Let's try to get that a little bit higher. And let's take a look in the chat here. We got Dale, first guy in here. We got Flam Fam obviously going to that game. Dude, Jordan Love might play, bro. I didn't think it looked that bad when it actually happened, and I'm thinking that he could actually play. Question for you. Obviously, I'm biased, so I'm not going to answer this question myself. What do you think if they rule Jordan Love in? What do you make the spread? The Packers right now are a 3-point dog.
God. Because that line to me right now says that that's a hedge in between, right? Doesn't that line right now kind of tell you they can't tell if he's going to play or not, but they kind of lean to he's not going to play? If an injured Love comes in, maybe they go to -1.5 point favorites, -1. I think it crosses 0. But with an injured Jordan Love, how far past 0 can you really get? Can you get to 3? Because I don't think you can get back to 3 if Jordan Love is, just coming off of 1 week's rest. So I think they go to slight favorites, but Tennessee's probably, their defense has earned them enough to keep it less than a field goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because obviously he's not really running that much either, which is kind of nice. So, should be interesting. Obviously, we saw Aaron Rodgers not play that well last game. And they still ended up putting up 24 on them. So I think we can get it rolling here, Stu. Let's get it rolling here. We'll do our first round of picks. We'll talk some dogs if you want to, and then we'll get it rolling here. I feel pretty good about this slate. Let's start us off. You are in that game I just spoke about. Let me pass it over to you.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're going to Rashid Shaheed over 47.5 receiving yards. It looks like I did not send you the price. That's my bad. -110 is the best we're seeing right now on MGM and 365. We've seen a little bit of movement. I put this out at 46.5. It was my first play of the week. But I would play it pretty comfortably to 49.5, 50. I don't think it should be under 50 for the rest of the season. So that's kind of my cutoff number right there. And if it does get back over 50, then I think longest reception at 22.5 is a super easy pivot, because obviously those are so highly correlated with a guy like Shaheed, who's doing a lot of his work downfield. You guys know me. Over these last couple of years, I've been so eager to go to longest reception right here. And I do think longest reception is good. I just think there's more pure value on the yards number. So that's what I went to, because there's obviously the narrative around Shaheed that he is one of the best deep threats in the league. He's doing all his work downfield. And while that is true, he is absolutely doing most of his work downfield. For all those guys out there that join me on those reverse correlation parlays where you bet the over on yards and the under on receptions, you're probably keenly aware that Shaheed is involved in the screen game now, because he's recorded now a couple of those kind of screens for just 1 or 2 yards, which when you have the under on catches really kills you and it really jumps out to you. So that was one of the first things that actually kind of motivated me to do a little bit more research, to check out Shaheed a little bit more. And what I found was that while his ADOT is still extremely high, still has the 6th highest ADOT in the league, his average depth of route, so not target, just the routes he's running himself, is actually dropped to a career low. His career average is sitting right around 9 yards per, or average depth on yards per route. That's now dropped down to 7.2. So we've seen the biggest adjustment in his career so far in terms of he's actually running, slightly less, even if it's not showing up in the ADOT yet, the actual routes themselves he's running are a little bit more diverse. We're seeing more screens. We're seeing him go into the slot a little bit more. Obviously, Michael Thomas catching, 50 balls a game in the slot. It's wide open. They do a lot of creative things. The other thing you'll notice if you deep dive the Saints offense, they have run more 2 wide receiver sets than any team in football, and it's not even close. So while it's a copycat league, we're seeing a lot of teams, go to this air raid where you're trying to be Patrick Mahomes. They've actually done the complete opposite. A lot more heavy personnel. It's actually insane. The league average on 2 wide receiver sets is like 20% different right now than what the Saints are doing. They've completely kind of committed to having Shaheed and Olave out there. And what that does is that condenses the target share even more. So you're not even going to have the opportunity. Like if you're a Cowboys fan and you're betting CeeDee Lamb, there's going to be no Jalen Tolbert there, right? Who's due for a 25-yard catch every game. Like it always happens. You're always watching and you're pissed off. Like those opportunities aren't even there as much because they rely so much on their 2 outside wide receivers. I know a lot of people are going to be on Olave this week. He's obviously going to be an extremely popular pick, especially because people on Twitter love to buy low. They love to be first and stuff like that. But all I'm looking at is Rashid Shaheed with a 23% target share leading the team right now, right? We can go back to our draft priors all we want and say Olave is great. But when I look at these 2 guys, I would say a good analogy is the Titans running back room, where you got Tony Pollard and you got Tajay Spears. And while Tony Pollard might be the number 1, he might be the best guy in the business, they do very similar things well. They have very similar skill sets. Normally you go, okay, Shaheed's the deep threat. Then we got that guy that sits around in the slot and wins over the middle. He wins short. No, Olave also wins deep. These guys both are very, very good at winning deep. And so what I've noticed is now Shaheed has kind of been the screen guy as well. Kind of, okay, we'll get you a little design touch here or there. I think this is a 1A, 1B situation. Olave's great. I'm a big fan of the talent, but I don't think there's enough of a gap here to justify the difference in 20 yards we're seeing on sportsbooks right now. Like Shaheed has had a catch over 50 yards in both of his 2 games. And sure, we may not be able to see that sustained all year long, but what has this Eagles defense shown anybody in terms of limiting explosive plays? They've been god awful so far, and I think Shaheed's going to be a big part of taking advantage. So I like both these wide receivers. I think a lot of people are going to be on Olave this week, but when you look at Shaheed, to me, I just see a guy that still, his role isn't fully being appreciated by the sports books. I think a lot of people still see the one-dimensional deep threat, but if you watch his progression from last year to this year, he's doing a lot of things differently. He's improving every week. I think Shaheed is a great guy to buy on, despite a lot of people want to sell high. They want to trade him. They want to get rid of him. I see a guy that's going to be able to sustain, as long as the Saints offense looks good. They don't need to look great. They don't need to look elite. As long as they can look good, I think Shaheed is going to easily be able to be at this 50 yards mark pretty much every week.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. And I like what you said because you're paying a premium on Olave, right? And he hasn't really even shown it. I mean, yeah, he had a good game last week, but I mean, the targets are there, right? And the same thing here, right? I mean, if you're going to give me a guy getting about the same target share and I'm getting 20 yards difference, especially on a guy who can get it in 1 catch, it's kind of nice. So talking about a guy who can win deep, let's talk about a guy who can't win more than 5 yards, and that's my guy, Bo Nix here. I'm going to be taking Bo Nix completions. Yes, I get it. This is absolutely disgusting. We're betting on Bo Nix, who, yeah, is not good. I understand that. I know Stu hates him. I like what he does, dude, when I'm betting completions. We ain't betting longest reception. We ain't betting any of that because, my God, this team is brutal, man, on offense. But what I will say, Bo Nix is throwing short routes, especially when he's pressured, right? And when Tampa Bay is able to get some pressure here, we've seen Bo Nix get the ball out real quick. You look at these first 2 games, his average completion right now is 5 yards, man. It's 5 yards per catch, and it's really tough for me to want to bet anything to do with his yards. But When you look at time to throw, he's in the middle of the pack, about 2.8 seconds, right? If we get that, just dump it off, right? They're just not trying to get this guy get hit, right? I also been looking at these like completion versus expected completion numbers. He's like third lowest, right? So he's like minus 8%. So that's just drops on drops. I'm hoping we start to see some Troy Franklin get in there. He came into 12 snaps last week. Put that dude in the game, man. What the hell are we doing with Josh Reynolds, bro? I know he's good, or like he's better than what we're doing, but he ain't going to be there next year, right? I mean, he's a filler, right? He's a filler, right? He's a year filler. But you brought this guy in to be with that quarterback. Bring him in. You know what he's going to do, right? You got McLaughlin. You got Javonte Williams. You got all these dudes who can run routes behind the line of scrimmage. Marvin Mims, obviously, can be that game breaker. We throw it behind the line of scrimmage, just let him make something happen. But I thought that was pretty interesting because he has a 59.7% completion rate. His expected completion rate's almost 67%, right? So it's just drops, inability for guys to make things happen, not get that separation. But I think you got to here, right? This is a game where Tampa's been moving the ball at will, right? I'm assuming you throw your best guy on Mike Evans, right? Surtain on that side. But my God, dude, you got Godwin right now. You got deep threats in McMillan. Obviously, Bucky Irvin's been making big plays. Rashad White, right? I mean, there's just too many weapons on that offense for me to think that these guys aren't going to score points. And if we're getting a guy behind in games, which they have been in these first two, I don't think they're slowing down this defense because you're just seeing them give up 26 points to Seattle, right? And they obviously gave up how many field or whatever it was to Pittsburgh, only 13, but that's Justin Fields, right? Baker Mayfield's playing on another level right now. So I'm going to be back in Bo Nix here. I had this bet last week at 17.5 at like minus 130. And like, what are we doing, man? Like, if this guy is seriously right now averaging 35 and 42 in the first two games, averaging around 38 attempts, what are we doing here, dude? If he's going to throw that much, I think he's getting 20, 22, right? This dude should just be dumping off, dump city. Don't make mistakes. You're not going to be able to run on Tampa. So let's make something happen. Let's make something happen in the screen game. Come on, let's make something happen here, Denver. I know you suck, but let's do something here. Just dump it off and let's cash the ticket early.
Yeah, I mean, I might be the captain of the Bo Nix, hate club so far this year, but I like the pick a lot. I was kind of telling you before, like, this is almost betting on him being bad, right? Because we once again going to find ourselves in a situation where you're trailing. You have to catch up. And like you said, you can't throw the ball 20 yards down the field. So when you can't, that's naturally going to create more completions for us, especially in an offense that's so centered around those running back checkdowns, those short yardage dump offs. Like, I wish the talent was better for what they're building. Like, Cortland Sutton and Josh Reynolds are like trees. They're stiff. They're not built to be in this constant. They're like contested catch, 15-plus yard guys. And that's like the opposite of what, Marvin Mims is the only guy that really fits it. I think your guy Franklin as well. They're not playing either of those guys at all. And they put that Vele guy in week 1, and then he didn't touch.
He got hurt and whatever.
Yeah, I don't. This team's a mess. They're an absolute mess right now. But I think if there is one thing we can count on, it's just Bo Nix, like you said, checking the ball down, short completions. He's not going to do anything crazy. The one thing I will say about this game, and I hate to say it, I think this could be one of those games that the Broncos win. I don't know how, but Tampa Bay getting so much love, over 7-point favorites with Baker now being a chalky survivor pick, something that I was looking closely at, but I think I might have to turn in another direction. And I just faded Denver myself. They were just going against them last week with the worst team was my survivor pick. But the Buccaneers, I don't think love to be in these ugly games as much as the Steelers do. They want to air the ball out. I don't know how the Broncos win. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm thinking turnovers is probably their only path to do it. But something is fishy about this game to me. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of stuff, some unders I like. I like McMillan and I like Cade Auden unders, but they're both very high. Cade Auden has 5 yards on the season, and his number is 23.5. In a game they're supposed to be 7-point favorites. Why? What is that telling us here? There's something in that line. It's up to us to figure out what. You know what I mean? But at multiple of these, with the secondary, third options, it's almost like, to me, the sports books are saying they might have to throw the ball a little bit more than we expect, which I don't know why. I don't know why they would. But it's just an ugly game. It's a disgusting game. I like Bo Nix for this prop, but something's fishy about this. I don't know if it's just me. I'm starting to feel like the Broncos might might slimily be in this game and maybe even be live to win it. But maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're crazy. Obviously, you see a 6.5 spread now. It's moving down. Obviously, it got up to 7.5. It's down to 6.5. I don't think it moves from there. Honestly, I don't think it moves from there at all. But maybe this is just – I'm just spitballing here. Maybe the Buccaneers don't want to watch Rashad Wright run into the back of his center 20 times in the game, and maybe they throw it a little bit more, right? Because they do that. That's literally what Rashad White does in the run game is run between the tackles, get 3 yards, and do nothing. Pretty much. No explosive plays. The only time he's getting explosive plays is on the outside in the pass-catching game. So maybe that's something too, just because Denver should be able to just stack that box, just get it going there, because you have an ability to shut down a number one wide receiver, right? You have a guy who's just literally going to follow Mike Evans, where most teams have a safety over the top. They're not going to do it. He's running Surtain the whole time, bro. They paid this dude. They're like, you're going to take this guy and you're going to shut him down, right? So maybe it is those underneath guys, because Evans has been cooking. Obviously, last week, not much because they were winning. I don't know how, but they were winning. And Baker just decided to do it with his legs and dump-offs galore in the second half. So just a thought as something maybe that we could have as pushback to kind of think on what these numbers are kind of telling us here. But, yeah, interesting spot for sure. Stu, I already talked about my Packers as my dog pick here. I think that's going to be my spot. I think if you got to do a dog, man, how are you not going to the New York Giants, bro? 6.5? You give me a 6.5 points here, dude? Browns suck.
Yeah, it's why Survivor's so hard this week. Like, god damn, the favorites are the Browns and the Buccaneers. Like, oof. I mean, I've not been the Giants, just to be clear. I'm not going to bet the Giants.
No. But when I look at all these other dogs, they're all like 1 or 2 point spreads in a lot of these games, and I'm not even getting plus money. So what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I could go. Yeah, like I could go with like the Dolphins, maybe. Like I don't know if Dallas. No, Dallas is even money now, so that's not even a dog. They're just co-favorites or whatever. Yeah, this is kind of a tough dog week. The more I look at it now, I mean,
there's too many close spreads.
Your Packers barely count, but like that's close. The Packers, you need QB news though. You know, I think if I had to go, for me, it would be Philly probably. But yeah, like do the Chargers even count at plus 105? You know, like it's really. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, Giants, that's probably not going to be my move personally, just because like I like what are they going to do? Daniel Jones sucks against pressure, and this team's going to get pressure on you. So like I don't know where it goes from there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where last week was your week, buddy. Last week was your week. That was your chance. You had your chance to prove to everyone how good you are. Like it was against a team you crushed in the past. They even scored some points. It was all field goals, so it wasn't much. But like you had your chance, Daniel Jones, and you fucking missed it. So he missed it. I'm not going to go back to him in a much tougher matchup against a better team, no matter how annoying it is to watch the Cleveland Browns. So good luck, Giants fans. Good luck, Danny Dimes. I'm feeling Drew Lock's knocking on the door right there.
I will say, it was Washington who had all the field goals. Daniel Jones actually put up 3 tutties in that game. And it was because they got Graham Gano. He must have got hurt or something, and then they couldn't get extra points. So, of course, what else could you do from the Giants here, dude? What else could you do? To just go 18-18 on 3 touchdowns with no extra points.
It was the craziest game I've watched. And also, for all the Giants guys out there, the Giants guy was on the injury report. He got hurt on Saturday. They had a full day to elevate and bring over a kicker just in case something happened, and they just didn't, knowing that their guy could very easily get hurt. Like, that was so funny to read that and to find out that it wasn't a day of thing. Like, he got hurt Saturday morning. They were like, we're going to figure out if you can go or not, but if you can't, we're not actually going to do anything about it. Like, that's crazy. To be an NFL franchise, right? Millions of dollars are bet on this game, and to not address that is so funny. But it's very Giants-like as well.
Giants gonna giant, man. That's all you're gonna say about it. So let's get to it, guys. We got 38 of you guys in here live with us. Hit that like button. I'm gonna go pull up my phone, see what we're at for likes. Hopefully, you guys are getting us up there closer to 20. And we got 2 plays in the same game again. So we got a good game here to target. And let's get to it, Stu.
Yeah, this game is going to be fun. I mean, we got Cardinals, Lions. We got two gritty, fun teams that are likely going to be in the playoff mix as well. I mean, for me, Montgomery is honestly pretty simple. We're going over 53.5 rushing yards, minus 105 right now. It opened just a little bit lower at 51.5. But I mean, I probably expected more like 56, 57. So that's probably the range that I'd play it to. This offense is pretty simple to me. Like, I like Jahmyr Gibbs a lot. I'm a fan. I did end up with him on my main fantasy team, but I was never really getting the love this offseason. It felt like we saw a split last year that was pretty obviously going to kind of be similar this year, but the ADP, the prices between them, like, didn't change at all. Like, it was still the, like, oh, we think Gibbs is going to be the number one and Montgomery will come in sometimes. Like, they were still being drafted like that was going to be the case, but we have a full season to show us exactly what these two teams want to do, which is when they're in the lead, when they're in neutral game scripts, they want to hand the ball to David Montgomery. They want to feed their running back, their tough runner, right? They want to go behind the best offensive line in football, and they want to grind you down, and they want to win football games that way. Because if you ever watch Dan Campbell, like, that is his philosophy. They do have a good OC, Ben Johnson. They're a sharp team. They're very smart with the play action. They're not just a 1940s, we're going to run it into a brick wall. But the offensive philosophy goes down to establishing the run and getting going behind that great offensive line. Now, against the Cardinals, you have one of the best matchups in football against a team that their defensive line has been all over the place. Their defense as a whole has been all over the place. I mean, we got to give them credit for kind of, getting pressure. They're playing like a middle of the pack unit right now. But I think the most interesting thing is if you looked at all those advanced stats websites, whether it's DVOA, EPA per play, they were all showing us like the worst rush defense in football after week one. Then last week, they absolutely crushed their opponent. There's no chance to even run the ball, right? There wasn't even, like, Kyron Williams, they were down so fast, there wasn't even a chance to establish the run. Now they're suddenly like a middle-of-the-pack rush defense by all these stats. Well, it's like, what did we learn last week that we didn't already know? Nothing. Your offense beat the crap out of them, and they had to throw the ball all game. Like, I don't think we actually learned anything new about their rush defense. So we have what profiles as a bottom five, rush defensive line going up against a nasty offensive line, going up against David Montgomery, who's an absolute grinder. Like, this just screams like such a Monty game, because the Cardinals, what they offer is offense. They offer explosive plays, and they do it in a similar way to the Lions, where we're going to see a lot of jumbo sets. We're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, and we're going to see play action off of it. We're going to see Kyler take those deep threats because of it. Like, they rely a lot on those explosive plays. And how do you keep explosive plays, from happening? How about you keep the offense off the field? That's what the Lions are about. And I think this is going to be an absolute David Montgomery game. I think it's just undervalued. I think the whole world still looks at David Montgomery as like the 1B. But like, these two guys are in a pretty equal share. It really is up to the game script. If they fall behind and they need an explosive skill set, they need the pass catching. Sure, that's where Jahmyr Gibbs comes in hand. But for me, it's pretty clear what they're going to do in this game. And it's going to be to establish the run, control time of possession, and keep that explosive offense off the field. David Montgomery profiles perfectly for that. As long as they're in a neutral game script, I'm happy. And I think that's going to be the case here. So love David Montgomery. Good opportunity for him to get his classic 15, 16 carries, 60-plus yards, probably a touchdown or two, and call it a day.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. You see, week 1, 71 yards for James Cook in that spot, right? We saw the Buffalo against Arizona be able to score there. And that was with Buffalo losing for a lot of that game, and he still got there, right? So, yep. Obviously, he's pretty much the alpha in that room, but I feel like Campbell wants to run the ball more than Buffalo wants to run the ball.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
But they're going to obviously use the quarterback. Goff ain't going to run the ball at all.
Yep.
So, yep. 2 spots, and we still saw him get there. So, we've seen that already this year and with Arizona, and I'm going to be in this game as well, but I'm going to be going to passing plus rushing with Mr. Kyler Murray. This is on FanDuel. They're giving me 264 on FanDuel exclusively. So I'm going to be playing that one. I really, really like this spot for Kyler. I think Detroit's going to be able to score on these guys at will. You saw the Rams kind of just give up, after, they're down 21-0 in 10 minutes, right? So after that, you pull Kupp, right? I mean, Kupp comes out with the ankle injury, not risking him going back in there. Puka's obviously out. And then you saw just, nothing happening on the Rams offensive side for Kyler to really need to do anything, right? So I think that we're going to see a lot of running from Detroit. I think you've finally saw Amon-Ra get his breakout game there to kind of get him going. We still haven't even seen Laporta do anything yet this year. So I know everybody's going to want to go there because how do you have 3 bad games in a row for a top 2 tight end in the NFL? But I just like the upside here with Kyler Murray. Obviously with the legs, you've seen him get 50 yards in both first 2 games. Baker had 34 yards on these guys, right? Baker ran for 34 yards on this Detroit team and a rushing touchdown. But if they do decide, hey, we're going to not let Kyler Murray's legs beat us, dude, if we get some time in the pocket here, man, I'm liking what I saw from Marvin Harrison again on a broken play though, right? That's what Kyler Murray can do for you is he's got to get out of that pocket, and with these broken plays, he's a wizard, man. I obviously like over the middle Trey McBride, but I think the guy that's really kind of making things tick for me is obviously my boy Greg Dortch. Just being able to get those outside quick screen plays, let him run around and make something happen here. Even if we only get 40 yards on the ground, I think we see 220 from Kyler in this game because I think Detroit just has a field day with this defense. I know that Arizona's numbers right now look pretty good defensively, but like I said, they pretty much pulled everybody, right? The Rams had nobody on this offense. It's like your 2 best offensive players in Kupp and Nakua both out. We saw what Stafford did in that first game, just shredding everybody in that one against this Detroit team for 317. Both quarterbacks, or at least Stafford went for 300 in the first game. And in that second game, Baker really didn't have to do anything because they were winning. I don't see Arizona winning this game personally. Obviously, I think it'll be competitive, but I don't see Arizona finding a way to win. And if we start seeing Detroit, punch them in the mouth first, I think this could be a fun little game for Stacks. You get Arizona at home here, and obviously Gibbs in Montgomery should be able to run right through these guys. So I like a lot of offensive weapons in this game, but obviously when it comes to Arizona, everything's going to be going through Kyler because I don't think James Conner's doing shit up the middle against these guys.
Yeah, I love the spot. I really do. I like it a lot. I played Kyler rushing yards solo earlier in the week. So we're obviously on the same page about that. But I mean, the more I look at it, I've been very tempted to add to this for exactly the same reasons you were saying. Well, I already gushed about this defense last week with adding DJ Reader and what that does to stopping the run. But so much of what the Cardinals want to do is running the ball. People don't get that that's their new identity really is these 12 personnel, these big packages. We're going to let James Conner pound the rock. And then everything else is going to be those play action, those explosive plays, those Marvin Harrison shots, or like you said, the occasional Greg Dortch over the middle as well. And I just think what Detroit is bad at is exactly what they're good at. Right, Detroit has allowed the most yards and targets to the slot position so far this year, which is going to be about 50% Trey McBride and about 50% Greg Dortch. That's a really good combo. The other thing they struggle, they play a shit ton of man coverage and they play a shit ton of cover one. Only one high safety, right? They get burned on the deep play. Well, that's what Marvin Harrison's there for. It's kind of the 2 things that they're exactly really bad against that this team is really good against. And obviously, because of all that man coverage, we're going to see a couple extra running lanes open up down the field. I think those explosive plays are going to be big because Kyler Murray isn't a high-volume runner. He's a guy that takes advantage of explosive plays, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Detroit, like you said, we even saw with Baker Mayfield, 34 yards last week. And we even saw, going back through last year, because Detroit ran the same scheme, every mobile quarterback they faced crushed them on the ground. Even guys like Purdy and Jordan Love had 35-yard runs against them just because there are those holes that open up when your defenders, right, they're playing man, they're worried about their guy one-on-one. They're not worried about stopping the run. They're not in those kind of sets. So obviously Kyler will have a spy probably, or he'll have some extra attention to him. But I just think there's enough offense in this game that I really have a hard time seeing Kyler not miss. Literally the one reason I think Kyler would miss this is the reason I played David Montgomery today. The one thing I truly believe the only thing stopping this game from being the best game of the year is David Montgomery. And that's why I wanted action on him, because I do think the Lions are going to try to control the clock and slow it down. It just kind of depends on how successful they are. And I wanted a piece of both because I love Kyler. I probably even love some other guys. I think Laporta, this could be the game. I really do. I think this could be Laporta's chance. And then a McBride or a Dortch, both of those guys, with how bad the Lions are against the slot, are screaming my name. So love this play. I think it's a great spot. And I think it's a good number on FanDuel as well. That was a good catch.
Yeah, it's the only one giving that number. So just a heads up there. But yeah, obviously it's a 2 or 3 yards higher market wide. So FanDuel, shout out you guys. Should be still there as well. Ready to roll. So let's take a look at the chat here, guys. We got Cashville in here. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for the kind words. We got Sports in here. I love it. Sports, good name there. Locked them in. Love to see it. Christian bringing up favorite interception. I don't have.
I got one. That's okay. A good question. You're pretty much a plant. I pretty much paid Christian to type that because I did actually play my first or my second. Daniel Jones was my first interception prop of the year. I did play my second. I didn't know if I was going to get a chance to talk about it. So shout out to you. Jaden Daniels is going to throw his first interception of the year, unfortunately, against the Bengals. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't bet the Bengals at -7. I think it's 7.5 now. So not as good anymore. The Bengals are going to crush this team, guys. Their offense is so good. But the thing that's underrated, they have a sneaky good defense, but they have a sneaky good defensive coordinator, Lou Amarillo, right? We've given him a lot of credit over these last couple of years for his creative schemes. He's really good, especially in the short and intermediate, right? At kind of keeping things in front of you and taking advantage. Jaden Daniels, everything is in front of you. I don't know if you saw that interview with Cam Taylor-Britt where he was kind of talking about it, everything's short. Like, they are fully going to be game planned for this. They're fully going to be ready. I just see it in my head. They're down 2 touchdowns. They're trailing. They have to make up this lead. Daniels goes. He locks in on his first read. It's a 4-yard slant. He throws it right over the middle. Pick 6. The other guy's taking it back. Like, when you're not scaring the defense with your eyes, when you're not, moving guys off you, when you're not a controlled quarterback, and you're just kind of checking down to your reads, a good defensive coordinator can take advantage of that. And I think they're going to be trailing. I think they're going to get crushed. So I think they have to pass the ball a lot. I think Daniels will be throwing his first interception of the year. Only bummer is I thought it would be plus money just because he hasn't thrown one yet. Everything's super safe. They're trying to obviously avoid him from throwing those picks. So I thought we might get plus money, but it's like -115. So I'm not like an interception capper. I'm not a pro. I'm just a fan. And I was smoking a blunt last night, and I was really thinking about it. And I was like, this is the time that he throws this. I'm visualizing it there. You know what I mean? I figured it out. So once that happens, screenshot this, give me a shout out. But, yeah, I do think Jaden Daniels throws a pick this week.
Beautiful. All right, let's recap, Stu, and we'll get to some long shots because I have a long shot today that not a touchdown, but I have a spot that I do like and want to talk about a little bit here. So let's get it going.
Sounds good. We got David Montgomery over 53.5 rushing yards, -105 right now, 365, and FanDuel have the best lines. Then we got Rashid Shaheed over 47.5 receiving yards, -110. I would play it up to 50, and if it goes above 50 for whatever reason, then I'd go to longest reception at 22.5.
Beautiful. I'll be on Kyler, passing plus rushing, 1.5 units there. Rolling that with not Montgomery, Bo Nix. Bo Nix over 18.5 completions. I know it's gross to click that name, but just do it, guys. Unfortunately, let's get this rolling here, Stu. What are you looking at? What's the long shot for you?
I'm gonna need to let you go first, right quick. I need to figure something out. Only ones I've got are ugly, so I need to figure something not ugly for this show.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna actually be playing guy that I can't believe I'm seeing this number on. Obviously, I can understand it with how shit he's been so far this year. And I'm going to be rolling with Michael Pittman. I'm going to go with 8 receptions here at plus 390. Give me almost 4-1 on a guy who's obviously the number 1 receiver here. I don't think the Bears are going to get beat deep. I think that's really what this comes down to. I think it's going to have to be slow, methodical drives. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well. We just saw them get absolutely stuffed. The Bears have been stuffing the run here pretty well. Even in that first game, I think the numbers are pretty bad because we're getting one big play. They had a 30-yard run. Everything else has been sub 3 yards per carry, right? And 3.5 in the second game here. I think they're going to sell out. I think they're selling out to stop the run from Richardson. They're selling out to stop the run from Taylor. And if we're looking at the short guy, the guy that get those short intermediate catches, I think it's Pittman. I think Pittman's going to be the guy to be getting those dump offs. The biggest issue here is, are they going to throw the ball? Are they going to throw the ball enough? And like I said, I think they're going to obviously be able to slow down the running game. It's really going to come down to, can Anthony Richardson be like, hey, maybe I should dump the ball off, right? Maybe that should be the spot. That's really the biggest issue. With 17.5 is his completion line, right? And I could see Pittman getting that type of volume, 40, 50% target share in those spots. But also, I don't think they're going to get enough time. I really don't. Obviously, the Bears have been able to get pressure on C.J. Stroud, which is tough to do. He was running a lot of those spots. But you look at Levis, only 19 completions in that first game against the Bears, and that was with how many turnovers in that one. And C.J. Stroud, obviously, is a different beast. So if we can get that completions line to 20, I think that we see Pittman get 8 of them. I do really like this spot for Pittman on the underneath routes. And, dude, just stop running the ball right up the middle every time here with Taylor. I think that Bears defense is going to be – I think they're going to be coming here. I think they're going to be coming and selling out to make Anthony Richardson's arm beat them. So sign me up. Pittman. It's going to be frustrating as hell if they don't listen to me and just be like, hey, throw the damn ball. Stop running. But we've seen, obviously, in the past, Richardson get hurt because he's trying to run so much. And these Bears, I will give credit where credit is due. That Bears defense was moving. They're running at the ball and they're making some plays. So sign me up. Pittman, 8 catches, 4-1.
Yeah, I actually wrote up Pittman and I did a SGP article the other day, or a long shot article, and I also actually had Pittman just as his base, 50 yards or whatever, 5 catches, so a little bit of plus money. Oh, it's ugly, but I'm on the same page. If you look at the game tape, that's what really sold it for me. Rewatching that game, even though it's not shown in the box score, Anthony Richardson looks at Michael Pittman on every play. That's his first read. He goes to his first read. It's a point and shoot kind of offense. And when he's not open, that's when he forces these kind of downfield throws, which obviously make the offense go. So, this is Pittman's. I guess my worry is Josh Downs, because I'm also on the Pittman train. And it's one of those bets that's so ugly, you almost feel like it's going to win. When you feel that little thing in your stomach or whatever, and when you click it, that's how you know it's low key a good one. When you feel great about a bet, oh, there's no way this is going to lose. Those are the worst. Those are the ones that clearly give you the most pain. This is one of those grimy ones that I really feel like could have a lot of value, because he's getting this in just targets alone every week. It's just really not shown up in the box score yet.
Yeah, can Richardson say, hey, this ain't working, bro. This ain't working. We saw how shit he looked against the Packers, bro.
Yeah.
And how do you, as the Bears, not say, hey, we have pretty similar personnel, right? We have pretty similar guys out there in terms of linebackers, being able to make plays, cover those dudes, and Richardson just looked lost, bro. It's because he kept trying to run the damn ball, and he fumbled it in the first half, 2 picks, right? Figure it out. Figure it out. Throw that ball to your first guy. And 8 catches at 400, man. This was probably plus 120 last year in some of those games for how many times he was getting the dump offs in there. So, all right, Stu, what is yours?
Okay, should I go Lamar Jackson touchdown or 80+ rush yards? What do you like more? What are you thinking there? Touchdowns plus 200, which is better than I thought it would be. So that's what I was leaning towards.
Sketchy. That just sounds sketchy.
Yeah, we'll go with that, because I actually thought it'd be plus 150, but it's plus 200, so pretty good value. But I like Lamar, 80 rush yards and touchdown. I might parlay them together, get a little double long shot going right there. But this is it. 0-2, you're down. Now you get a Cowboys team that the Cowboys can take advantage of your one weakness, which this offensive line is bad. And we talked about it on the show, actually. 40% quick pressure rate in week 1. I don't have the numbers for week 2, but it looked pretty darn similar with Max Crosby. You got another game breaker. You just let one game breaker beat you because of your offensive line. And now you got Minka Parsons in another one. The only difference is that Zimmer is a hated guy. I get that. I get people don't like his coaching stint. He had some public fallouts. He's a darn good defensive coach, and what he specializes in is having all these unique, creative blitz packages. It's what they talked about all offseason. If you watch the corners talk about him, if you watch about the interviews, anything like that, they're a very creative, not necessarily blitzing, but pressure-focused offense. They're going to get after Lamar. If Lamar wants to win this game, he's going to have to do it himself. I really do think he's going to have to take this new. We're seeing it's pretty common narrative this week, but this is the other sleepy good game. This is a really good game, and it's a really important game because Dallas is coming off obviously an embarrassing loss, a pretty bad loss, one of the worst you can really have, just getting routed by the Saints last week, and then Baltimore hasn't won a game yet. So This is game time for both of these teams. Serious season implications on the line. Offensive line is terrible. Who do you have to check down? Well, it's going to be Justice Hill, and it's going to be Mark Andrews. What's the problem with Mark Andrews? He's had more snaps pass blocking this season in 2 games than he had all year last season. In 2 games. Pass blocking year. That tells you alone the state of the offensive line. When you got your freaking tight end one getting paid millions of dollars out there blocking every snap because they don't have any other choice. So it's going to put the ball in Lamar's hands even more. He's going to have to run the ball. I think that becomes true, especially in the red zone when you're going to see those crazy blitzes coming at him. And I think he's going to have to do it himself here. So at plus 200, I mean, all the other rushing quarterbacks, my guy Jane Daniels is like 150. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we're getting a better price on Lamar. Lamar's still a red zone legend. It's just not been a good first 2 weeks. And frankly, the team isn't quite as good as people expected just because that offensive line is really hampering him. So I do think that helps Lamar. I think it's not helps him in the game, but helps him cash our ticket right here. So like this long shot, like his 80 yards, think he has a pretty good game on the ground.
Beautiful. All right, let's yep, we saw this. Last question before we got to dip today. Would you bench Connor for Gus or Javonte in fantasy this week? I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if I can. It's just I can't see James Conner on my bench. He's got to hope he gets the dump offs. If you're in a PPR league, he's still going to get 20 touches. I just don't think he's going to do anything with those touches. And I think it's plus 650 on Caesar. I unfortunately do not have Caesar available to me. I'd be curious what their 7 receptions is on Caesar. I just don't have Caesar. And a lot of people I know don't have Caesar available. So just a thought. Might be a good look to say over there.
Yeah. Well, and back to that question, too. Gus Edwards on the season has 0 runs of 10 or more yards. His competition, J.K. Dobbins, has 7, despite having 2 less carries. So that's not a split for long. Like, I love Gus Bus. That's my guy. But you got to do something if you want to sustain your role, and it's not looking good for him. So Gus is a bench for pretty much anyone. Javonte, he'll get you a safe floor, but it's not going to be anything better than Connor because Connor's down. Even with DeMarcado there, he's still going to get 2-3 checkdowns, be involved, and have all the red zone work. So, yeah, very easily James Conner right there, even though it's a brutal matchup.
Beautiful. Stu, what do you got for the people, man? I know it's a little quicker show than we usually do on Friday. Hoping you guys still all pop over here. It's a quicker show, so you guys get to pop in and grab those plays, get out of here a little quicker here on your Friday. What do you got for the people, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, good show today. Obviously, big fan of these plays. We never really talk too much about our plays. We like to do it here. So the fact that we're both on Kyler Murray this week was definitely good news. Super excited for that, especially his rushing yards moved against me more than any prop all year long. In the worst way, it moved down. I bet it at 34 and it moved to 31. Like all year long with my 4-for-4 picks, it's been brutal because they're moving against me. So it's hard to give it out here. I don't want to give you guys a worse line. This was the only time it's gone the complete opposite direction. Someone with a lot of money like that Kyler under. So that's why I didn't give it out as my official show pick because I haven't had that happen all year, right? 30-something picks, and we get a line just crushed in the other direction. So I didn't want to give it as my show pick, but seeing you be confident about his passing rushing, that made me super happy. Definitely going to add a unit to that and tailing you as well. So super excited. If you do want all my picks, you can go check them out over in the 4-for-4 Discord. Like I said, the CLV has been amazing so far this year outside of that Kyler bet. So if you don't want to be getting these at worse numbers, if you want to be getting the best one possible, tailing all my bets, join us there. Got a lot of good guys going, links in bio. So super excited. I'll have another free play out probably later today. And then I'll have some college props as well. Locked in a couple college ones last night. So ready to talk about those as well.
Love it. College football here, obviously. We'd love to see that. Your boy's still grinding the MLB street. Shout out to my crew putting that job in, getting that. They were 4th, bro. They were projected 4th in the Central. I got a plus 650 ticket on them. Got to cash that to win the division. Shout out to my crew doing that. And we'll be back here again Monday. Hopefully talk about some winners. Talking Monday Night Football. We got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. We love that. Should be ready to roll. Thank you, guys. Best of luck. Any questions? We got 2 days to get those questions in, guys. Drop them in the chat. We'll get to them for you. Exciting time. NFL Week 3. Let's do it. Thank you, guys, and best of luck this weekend.